Hey, it's Scores. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my July plan with me. Obviously, this is incredibly late. Maybe one day I will actually post a plan with me on time. But this basically is about 6 hours of footage that I have edited down. So it's gonna be like kind of fast today. I hope it's like still follow along. And just like easily viewable. But if you want to see how I got this Danger Days inspired setup, then please keep on watching. So I am like a huge My Chemical Romance fan. It is like my favorite band of all time. I own all of their albums on CD, and then I own most of their albums on record as well. So this is my Danger Days like vinyl record, which is honestly one of my most listened to records because it is my favorite MCR album. Just like out of the park, definitely. I love the aesthetic, I love the music videos, I love all of the songs and the lyrics. And because July is my birth month, my birthday was on the 3rd. I was like, you know what, treat myself. I'm going to listen to Danger Days and create like a cool Danger Days setup. So I tried to have some more aesthetic shots. I don't know how well they worked out, especially since like recording the sound on these didn't work at all. That's why I don't have any like ASMR sounds, but I tried to film those for you. So I hope, let me know what you think of these kinds of more aesthetic shots in the comments. So when I was making this spread, I was going off my spread from last month, which was a My Chemical Romance theme. So it was themed around their Revenge album, which is like probably my second favorite album. And I'd like done some really cool graphics and stuff like that, and I used a Dutch door for the first time, and I really enjoyed using the Dutch door. And I liked just like looking at the album inspired art all month. It just like made me really happy, and it was like really fun and kind of like fresh way of doing my journal that wasn't really like what you normally see on Instagram, but it really just like brought me so much happiness to like open my journal every day and like look at this MCR themed journal. So I think I did film this June, and I still think I have the footage. So like let me know if you want like a 10-minute long supercut of my June plan with me. So I made printables to work on my July plan with me. This was something that I knew kind of was more going to be more interesting and more useful, just because the July plan with me and like the Danger Days theme is very kind of like techno inspired and kind of post-apocalyptic. So I thought it would be cool to have printables, and they will definitely be available for download. I will have them on my Instagram and linked in the description below. So if you are interested, just you can pick those up. I'm going to make versions for July and August available on Instagram. I know the ones you're currently looking at say June. I do realize that like about 3 hours into making this setup, so I do change it to say July. And the ones you can download definitely say July. So I have edited all of these photos. They come from Unsplash and curated and edited by me, as well as like typography and stuff, and some like washi tape samples that I have created. So if you're interested in picking these up, just check out my Instagram below. So I cut all of these out just by hand, just to like start off, and I really started off my spread by trying to recreate the sort of Trans Am car that they use in the Na 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 and Sing music videos. So this is like a car that Gerard Way found, and he like made all these sketches and stuff of it, and he posted, he like has all of his concept art available online, so you can see like initial sketches of all the characters and of the car. And I just tried to copy one of his sketches of the car and kind of put my own flair on it. I think it's such an iconic piece of the Danger Days aesthetic that I had to put it as part of my cover page. So I just sketched it out with an orange pencil. I find like sketching, especially in bullet journals, just an orange pencil or like a light colored pencil is much better than using a pen or using like a graphite pencil, just because it's easier to erase, and even if you can't erase all of it off like the Leuchtturm pages, it doesn't smudge and show as much. So I outlining it with this like kind of dry fine liner, just because I thought it would give it like a more kind of sketchy look than like a more inky fine liner. So this one is like really dry, and I like don't care about getting like the lines or making it look really precise. It's very much just about like having that rough sketchy concept art aesthetic in the journal. So after that, I kind of took a look at my printouts and kind of laid them around, had a look at different layouts, and just cut them and glued them as sort of normal, or as kind of I thought they looked good. One of the things I really like doing about making a double page spread is cutting one picture in half, or and it doesn't have to be like equal, just in like a couple parts, and then gluing them on each side but aligned with each other, so it looks like it's kind of meant to be on the both pages, but it's split up. I think it kind of brings like the two pages together in a really good way. And I'm just using like tons of washi tape, so my color scheme was kind of like blue and yellow for this first cover page. So really just like using a lot of collage and layering, and putting everything on top of each other. So my battery dies like 5 times while making this spread, or making this video. So like the lighting is going to change a little bit. Again, like I said, it's like 6 hours of footage. So I've tried to color grade it so it's not like too visible, but it did take me a really long time to make this setup. Not including all the time it took to make the printables. So probably if you're going to do this, like you can do it much faster than I can. And I'm like ripping. A good tip to like get really straight rips is to like rip along a ruler. So I do that a lot in this spread, just to get that kind of like ripped look, but not make it like too crazy. And I use this stencil a lot as well. So this is just like a letter stencil I have lying around. I think I had it as a kid, but it creates like a really cool kind of like graffiti look. And I'm writing the quote, "It ain't about the friends you make, but the graffiti they write on your grave." I really like that quote. It's from the song "Save Yourself, I'll Hold Them Back." To me, it really signals sort of, you know, having like really genuine and passionate and good relationships, and just making sure that the people who remember you really fondly, and to like go about your life trying to like bring goodness to the people that you sort of interact with and that are in your life. So I found it, I've always loved that quote. It's always meant something to me, so I wanted to put it on. And with the white gel pen, I kind of let the stencil and my fingers smudge it a little bit, just because I wanted that more rough aesthetic. So I'm using this craft paper memo block I have, and I also have like a black paper memo block. And just creating this like really rough aesthetic to collage and stencil together. You know, gluing everything on top of each other. It's like really collagey and messy. The great thing about this kind of spread theme is it's very post-apocalyptic, very mishmashed. So you can like rip things apart, put things together in like fun and odd ways. It doesn't really have to be super neat, or you know, like it can be really messy and it still looks like really, really good. So I think it's just like really have fun. Like part of the reason I took so long making this spread is I just had so much fun, like putting all the washi tapes in different places, you know, sticking down all of the pictures, cutting things out, making things kind of my own, messing them up in a lot of ways. So even though like the pictures that I provided, you know, like obviously like you can download them. I really advise you to kind of make them your own, like rip them up, have fun with like the letters and the pictures, and just like do kind of crazy things. Like for me, my printer kind of messed up printing out like the picture sheet and some of like the words and the typography, and I actually really like that. I think it makes it look better and less clean just by having these like printer bleed marks and stuff like that. I also have these like washi tape stickers that you can write on. I messed up the word like friends like 3 times, and I didn't like the way I'd written it, and I thought I'd spelt it wrong, but I'd actually spelt it right. So I like spent so long like just working out how to sort out this like word friends. But eventually I sort of got through it. So I really enjoyed it. And so kind of people on Instagram wanted me to talk about like some reflections on graduating. So for those who don't know me, I just graduated. I finished my 4th year at university. So now I have a master's in social anthropology, and I'm really proud of it. Especially because I got a first class honors in my degree, and I kind of wanted to talk about that because through like a lot of my degree, I was really struggling. You know, like full transparency, I failed 2 classes in so like 1/3 of my credits in my first year of university. I completely failed. Like I had to retake the exams. One of those classes, I like knew that even if I tried to retake the exam, I wouldn't be able to pass it. So I just like completely gave up on that credit, and I had to redo my class like that credit the next year. And for me, that was like absolutely crushing because I have always, you know, kind of considered myself to be like pretty smart, and, you know, like pretty kind of like, you know, like intelligent, and I'd never really experienced failure in that way before. And that like completely crushed me. So for me to be able to, you know, kind of really improve from that and learn from that failure, and you know, be able to get first class honors, you know, in my sort of like final degree, is something that I'm really proud of. But it's also something that took me a lot of time and a lot of, you know, like heartache and effort to get to this place. And I kind of, looking back on it, and kind of reflecting on my experiences of university, I was dealing with a lot of like mental health issues through that experience that I didn't fully understand, or that I wasn't fully helping myself with. So with like my first 2 years of university, I was incredibly depressed. You know, a lot of the time I was like, you know, I've made the completely wrong mistake, because I'd gone to university on the other side of the globe in Scotland, and my family is from Australia and lived in Hong Kong. So it was like I was so far away from everyone I knew. I was so far away from like all of my friends in high school. I didn't know what I was doing. I like so many times I was like, I have no friends. I hate it here. I'm doing badly in my subjects. I should just like drop out and give up and quit. And pretty much the only reason I didn't quit or transfer is because I was too stubborn to admit to myself that I had, or like even when I could admit to myself, I was too stubborn to admit to anyone else in my life that I had made a mistake, and that I'd made the wrong decision, and that I wanted to quit. So that was pretty much the only reason I didn't quit university, or I didn't transfer after my first year of university. I was just too stubborn to give up. But that also brought with it a lot of like heartache and difficulty. So here I've got a piece of like tracing paper post-it note, which I got from Daiso. And if you have like Daiso in your area, like please go. It is the best place. They always have such great bullet journal stuff that's pretty cheap. So here I'm using some of the typography that I made, and I am just tracing it with a brush tip to get some of those variable line weights. So this is just a Tombow Fudenosuke, and I'm tracing it on top of the tracing paper to give it that translucency, and then I'm putting on top of my drawings. So that's just like how I made this, and then I ripped it in half. So I know this says June. I do change it later on to say July. Yeah, I don't know why I was like in the mindset for June. I did it multiple times in the making of this video where I wrote June instead of July. I don't know why. I just couldn't stop thinking about June. So I'd already after my camera cut off, I just like made this calendar spread. So I drew the outline of the month in like a red fine liner, and then I drew out each kind of roughly 5x5 box in a blue fine liner and just numbered it. And so here I'm using these letters that I made in kind of like a what's it called? You know, like a type that looks a little bit more computery, like pixelated, and I've just cut those up into like kind of like 2 to 3 letter chunks. I also cut out this entire like June, so this really takes a long time. Like I say, the clip is literally sped up 700% because it takes so long to cut out all of the like little white areas in this thing. Do not do this. It takes so long. It is like kind of dangerous using like a tiny craft knife next to your fingers. So probably don't do it unless you're like so committed or you love using craft knives. But anyway, yeah, like after I failed this year of university, I was so crushed, and also I was just dealing with a lot of mental health issues. I've sort of since kind of like really early teenager, I've been dealing with, you know, depression and chronic low mood for a really long time. And that was something that, you know, like I'd kind of understood. And everyone had warned me, you know, moving to Scotland from Hong Kong, you know, obviously it's going to be cold, it's going to be dark. And I was like, I know what cold weather is like. I've like seen nighttime. I know that it's dark. But it really hits you different when it's like every day and it's so cold and it's so wet. And just here I have this like letter printout that's like a quote from the song Party Poison, that there's like some Japanese in it, and I put washi tape on top of that just to kind of highlight and break up some of the black and white. So anyway, like it was, and then I'm just drawing the like skull from the Danger Days logo. I just think it's like kind of fun and looks a bit like David Bowie. I don't know if that's like the inspiration, but there is a line about David Bowie in the album. But yeah, I was like, I've experienced darkness before. I know what the cold is like, but moving to a place like the UK from like Hong Kong, and having lived in Hong Kong and Australia, it's like so much different just because the cold like never stops, and it's always kind of like damp and chilly, and I was so unused to like layering all the time, and I like literally didn't even own any long pants, like not even jeans, so like having to wear like jeans and socks all the time was like so different for me. And then it just gets really dark so quickly, and obviously when you're there for university, you're there for you know, like mostly kind of winter months, right? So it was really dark, it was really gloomy, and because I had classes sort of in the afternoon, and I was like a student, obviously, so I would wake up at like midday, and then I'd spend all of my like daylight hours in class, and I'd get out of class at 5 p.m. And it would already be dark, and so I like barely saw the sun. I was like really depressed. I would have difficulty getting out of bed, going to class, you know, feeding myself properly, all of these, like doing like basic chores, all of these things, obviously, like, you know, they're difficult, I think, for any university student to get to grips with, but I think I struggled a lot with it. I also put like this printable washi tape I made on my birthday, just because my birthday is the 3rd, and I was really excited and had a great day. If you're wondering. So I'm putting, I just like to put that, and then I'm also drinking my favorite Bundaberg drink, which is or probably my second favorite, which is the Bundaberg passion fruit like soft drink. If you've never had it, and it's like available, especially if you're in Australia, like pick it up. It is so tasty. I love it so much. So here, as you can see, I realized my mistake about June, and I did the exact same thing that I did for June for July. So it took me doubly long. But yeah, so I was like really depressed, and I was really upset with myself, and definitely thought I like made a mistake. I'd fucked up, and there was absolutely nothing I could do. I was completely like stuck in this new place that I didn't know what to do with myself. I was just like so upset, and this was one of the things that uh, really kind of, I think, led to the fact that I wasn't studying well. I wasn't trying really hard on my classes, and that kind of made me feel worse about myself because I was already doing badly at the one thing that I'd like kind of considered myself to be good at. And you know, I was like, why was I accepted here? Like, I'm a total failure. How can I like face my parents? How can I like face, you know, myself and all of my family members who are rooting for me? And in my first 2 years, that was definitely something that, you know, really sort of brought me down. And I think for me, the kinds of things that helped me kind of get out of that rut in my second year. So after I failed these two classes, I had to take extra credits in my second year first semester to take to retake that class and get the credits for the class that I missed. Um, and so I had to take like 4 classes, so, you know, a larger workload than everyone else. But I think that also kind of like put my ass into gear because I felt like I'd already kind of hit rock bottom, and I really didn't want to feel that way again. And that isn't to say that like immediately everything started changing, because I still, you know, like didn't go to class that much. You know, I would, you know, wasn't sort of doing as well as I'd like on all of my assignments and stuff like that. But one of the things that I started to do that really helped me was really go out and try and put more of an effort into building a support system. And I think it's just such a cheesy thing, but I think it's really important for people to have a good social life, you know, when you want to do well academically or in your, you know, like general life, with like studying and work, is just like having that time to like decompress, and to like find people that you enjoy and that support you and that make you feel good about yourself and that you can relax around. It just like improves your mood so much. It makes you feel so much better. And I was really lucky and able to find a group of friends in sort of like the second half of my first year, and then I continued to keep them in my second year. That like they were like just so nice. They were so kind to me. They would, you know, like I knew that they cared a lot about me and my health, and who I am as a person. So this is my habits page, and I did it kind of inspired by the antagonist of the Danger Day series, who were called Better Living Industries. And they're like basically the evil corporation that wants to keep everyone in check, and make sure that they're, and like control them. So what I did was their like color scheme is black and white, so I used my like black and white type photos. I again used like my white gel pen, and I made this key. So the way I started doing my habit trackers is to like have a little doodle for each of my habits, and then doodle those on each of the days. I find that that's what I did last month, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, so like for me, one of the things that I really that really helped me kind of like get much better at studying was just simply like having more friends and going out with them. And this is something that I like tried harder and harder throughout my years at university, and I think really came to the foray this year, where I basically at the start of this year I was like, you know what, I'm sick of feeling sorry for myself, and I'm sick of feeling bad, and I really want to kind of like get my stuff together and kind of change. And one of those things that I eventually ended up doing was going out and seeking a psychiatrist who eventually diagnosed me with ADHD and autism. And if you're interested in kind of like talking about that story and that journey, let me know, and I might make a video about it, because I think it's like really important, especially for young women, to realize that, you know, we often get diagnosed much, much later in life. But for me, it was both starting journaling and feeling in control of my life through getting, you know, like feeling more organized, but also I joined more clubs and hobbies and started doing those regularly. And that pushed me not only to have like weekly social interactions, but also it pushed me to be able to complete my time, like my work on time, because I had an incentive, and I had a really strong incentive. You know, I wanted to go hang out with my friends. I wanted to go to a party this week, and that also made me feel better and more on top of my schoolwork as well. So I think that often people think that like working hard is just about only working, but I really think that working hard a lot of the time is about enjoying yourself, and it's about being really smart with the way that you work and the kinds of things that you do, and spending that time on yourself. Because earlier in my academic career, I would spend all this time trying to study, and not doing that well, because was studying while I was tired, or I was studying while I was upset, and your brain is just not receptive to information, and you're not thinking clearly when you're in that mindset. Whereas when you're more relaxed, when you've spent time with your friends, and you're feeling good about yourself, and you're feeling like you're having fun with your work, then you're going to be doing well. So one of the things I do with all of my printouts and cutouts is I put them in the back pocket of my Leuchtturm. That way, when I set up all of my spreads for the rest of the year, I can, or the rest of the month, I can just easily grab all of those printouts that I've used. And I'm also doing NaNoWriMo, or Camp NaNoWriMo, this month, which was the last spread that I set up in this video. So follow me on my Twitter, where I'm tweeting more about that if you're interested. So here is my final setup. I've got my cover page, my calendar, habits, and then I also set up 2 of my weekly spreads as well, which you'll see on my Instagram. I will post all of those links down below if you're interested. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this video kind of made sense to you, or some reflections on my journey are kind of interesting. If you want to like know more, or some more kind of have like a dedicated video to tips and advice from my university experience, please let me know if you're interested in me making that kind of video down below. I think I would love to make it. I think I have like a lot of experiences that taught me a lot, and that I think other people can learn from. So I'm definitely interested in making that video if you guys are interested in watching it. You can also follow me on my journal Instagram at Sasha Journal, my bookstagram at shcores, as well as Twitter on shcores. I'll have all of the links to my social media down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to pick up my printables, they will be on my Instagram. I love you a lot. Hope you're having a great day. Bye.